What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jessica. If you're new here, I'm a woman in long-term recovery. I was in active addiction for 14 years, and I am now a certified Narcan trainer. I'm a peer recovery specialist, and I make YouTube videos about addiction and harm reduction and recovery and everything in between. And today's video, I wanted to bring you 5 things that you may or may not know about fentanyl, but that I want you to know about fentanyl. And before I get started, I just want to say, I am not a medical professional. Please do not take my video as medical advice. My videos, all of them, are based on my lived experience. My lived experience as someone that was in active addiction for 14 years, someone that was a drug dealer for quite a long time, someone that has been in recovery for quite a long time, and all of the things in between. So I base my videos off of my lived experience and my research. So anything that I have used as research to back up anything that I say in my videos, I will always link in my description box below. So any articles or videos, anything like that that I've used, that I say in my video, I will always link in my description box below. And I highly, highly suggest that anybody watching this that wants to further their knowledge, please click on those links, read the articles, go and investigate it yourself, because, you know, there's always more out there to learn, and the more we know, the better off we are. And not just about fentanyl, about everything. So I'm a big advocate for learning, and I will always, always tell people to do that. So let me get a drink and we will get started. So some of these kind of tie in together, but I wanted to not make a super long video, and I had trouble kind of narrowing it down because there's so much information out there about fentanyl, and I feel like when people hear the word fentanyl, they get really scared, because fentanyl is scary. It is, you know, it's a big scary thing. So some of these do kind of tie in together. Actually, I feel like a lot of them tie in together. Side note, if you see me looking down, it's because I have a lot of notes right here. I've talked about this before, but when I do my YouTube videos, I have to make notes because I decided to use drugs for 14 years, and it has affected certain parts of my brain, and I have memory problems. So if I don't make notes, we would be sitting here for God knows how long, and I would be talking about God knows what, and it's just better for all of us if I just write notes. So if you guys see me looking down, that's just what I'm doing, and especially about something like this, there's already so much information out there about fentanyl. I want to make sure that I am not adding to the bad or the false information. So I took diligent notes, and I want to make sure that I am repeating things that are right and true and correct. And I don't want to add to the misinformation that is already out there. Because, you know, us addicts, we fight against stigma every day of our lives. It's just an unfortunate fact. You know, even though I am well into my recovery, even though I am doing all the things in my life that I'm doing right now, starting my YouTube channel, being a peer, just all the things that I do in my life right now. There are a lot of things in my past that are considered qualifications now, and I still run across it on almost a daily basis when I interact with the public, when I tell people that I'm an addict in recovery. you get a certain look or comments or whatever it is. So one of my passions in life is to actively fight against the stigma that people that suffer with substance use disorder have to deal with every day of their lives. Because, in my mind, I see stigma as just a misunderstanding. And if more of us would stand up and speak out about it, then we could lower a lot of it. And not just about addiction, about everything, about mental health, addiction, recovery, all of it. So that is one of the reasons that I wanted to make this, because one of the biggest things that I hear about fentanyl that I will straight up interrupt your conversation, talk over top of you, whatever. I will interrupt you and say, hang on just a second, let me stop you. The very first important thing that I want you to know about fentanyl is you will not overdose by touching it at all. You will not overdose if you are near somebody. Here are my hands. Like this, anywhere around, if you touch them or if you're breathing near them. And I tell you this because when someone is overdosing, that person needs immediate, unhesitating help. And there are people out there that have been told through mainstream media, through their police department, through nursing programs, through a multitude of other outlets, that you can overdose by touching fentanyl like this. And that has been misproven so many times. Countless times. And like I said before, I'm going to say it again. Anybody that I name, any articles that I mention, anything that I used for research for this video, I will link them down below. If I say this gentleman's name wrong, I apologize. I'm going to put his name in my description box so you guys can go and check him out. His name is Chad Sabora, and he is in St. Louis. He's a harm reductionist, and he did an IG video, and he is holding in his hand like a line, a legitimate line, just like we would lay out on the table if we were going to snort it, a line of heroin that was cut with fentanyl and carfentanil, two fentanyls that are commonly found on the street, holding it in his hand. And he holds it during the IG video to prove, they test it during the IG video to prove that yes, it is heroin, to prove that yes, it does have fentanyl in it, for his viewing audience. And he does that to prove that it is not true. You will not overdose by touching it. You will not overdose by having it in your vicinity. Fentanyl does not magically jump up. Oh, I'm so sorry, y'all. Fentanyl will not magically jump up in the air and, crawl up in your nose or in your mouth and you ingest it and you overdose. That's not how this works. You actually have to ingest fentanyl. You have to inject it in your veins. You have to snort it up your nose. And I'm not talking about leaning over top of somebody when they're overdosing and giving them rescue breaths. I'm not talking about them having it on their shirt and them laying down on the ground and you leaning over top of them. I'm talking about leaning over a table with a straw, you snorting it up your nose. That's what I'm talking about. You have to make a genuine effort to get fentanyl in your body in order for you to overdose on it. And that is one of the biggest myths that I hear about fentanyl that make me so mad, because it's nothing but fear mongering and it makes people hesitate to save someone else's life. And that pisses me off. Because while you're hesitating, that's someone's brother, uncle, sister, mom, whoever. That's somebody laying there on the ground overdosing while you're having an internal dialogue about whether you're going to overdose or not. So I'm here to tell you that you can go and check out all these resources. I also have an article that I can link, and if you just Google it, because we live in a world where we carry around virtual encyclopedias with us all the time. You know, when I was little, we used to have people come around and like sell them door to door, showing how old I am here. But, you know, we could have like the Encyclopedia Britannica. You know, I think you could get like A, B, and C one month, and then he'd come back and you could get D through F the next month on a payment plan. Y'all don't do that shit anymore, but because we have it here, look it up. It's been proven over and over and over again. And for the officers that said that they brushed it off their uniform and they had a heart attack or something like that, if that was the case, when those officers had Narcan administered to them, it would have reversed their overdose. When it didn't, that should tell you that it's not a fentanyl overdose. There's something else medically going on. So please, if you hear that, if you hear someone saying that, if you personally think that, I'm here to tell you that that is not true. It is not true. You can go and watch Chad's video. You can check out the article that I'm going to link below. There are literally tons of reputable sources on the internet, everywhere, that you can go and watch videos, read articles, whatever. Speak to your local harm reductionist. Talk to your doctor about it. Hopefully they will be honest with you and tell you. There's tons of resources out there, y'all, that will tell you the truth. You know, I think at the beginning of the opioid crisis, when we all were really just new to this, and it was like beginning to be noticed by the general public, okay, we have a fucking problem here. And then it started to get played on the news. I think that everybody was so scared that we didn't know what to think. So I could see that, you know, people would think that if you touch something, of course it's going to be absorbed by your skin because, well, lotion does, baby powder does. Logically, I can understand that. But there's been so much research done now that's been proven wrong so many times. And unfortunately, I run into that a lot. Mainly by people that haven't had a lot of interaction with the drug use community. And that doesn't surprise me because they don't have interaction with people who use drugs or have a history with using drugs. That scares me because if this person that doesn't have any interaction in their day-to-day life, or, you know, even every once in a while, if this person over here is going to work one morning and they get off the bus or get out of their car and they're walking through the parking garage and they believe this myth about fentanyl, and then there's someone like me over here and they just did a shot or bought some drugs or bought some painkillers off the street and they didn't know that it had fentanyl in them, whatever the case is, and they do it and they're over here overdosing, and, you know, they did it in the alley before they went into work, or they're homeless, or whatever the case may be, and our two paths cross, and this person is overdosing while this person walks past, and this person won't save this person's life because they don't know any better. That's what scares me. That's what scares me, and that's why I want to make this video, and that is why I say that I'm going to keep coming until everybody hears what I have to say. Because it's just not true. I've reversed an overdose before that I know for a fact was a fentanyl overdose. I'm here. I'm fine. Physically, I'm fine. The person had fentanyl on them. You can see it sometimes on them, especially if the person is not an IV drug user, if their preferred method is, snorting. Some people like to rub it on their gums. It's not as common anymore as what it used to be. When you overdose, sometimes it's very quick, especially with fentanyl. So, if you are overdosing quickly, sometimes things fall on you. I'm trying to think of the most PC way I can say this being on YouTube. Anyway, the person that I reversed their overdose for, it was on their clothes. Not a lot of it, and I didn't stop to care because I don't care. I would rather save your life. I don't care. By the grace of God, I never overdosed. I was probably very close, more times than I would like to admit right now. But by the grace of God, I never overdosed. I never had to be in that position myself, but I would like to think that if I would have been, that someone would have helped me. And that's why I never leave my house without my Narcan, and I train everybody. And I give it away to people, sometimes even when they don't want it, to be honest with you. Anyway, let's move on to number 2. The second thing that I want you to know is fentanyl is super fucking powerful. Super powerful. Fentanyl has been around forever. It is used as a serious pain management tool. I thought that I wrote down what year it was like first made, but obviously I didn't, and honestly it doesn't really matter. But fentanyl has been used as for more so like a end of life, a terminal end of life pain management tool for a very long time. I want to say the 70s, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. It's very effective. It's typically used as like a patch or a lozenge. People put in their mouth and just suck on. The fentanyl that you find on the street is man-made and synthetic. So it is made in a lab, not a pharmaceutical lab. So you don't know what you're getting or what other shit they're putting in there, honestly. It's very similar to morphine, but it is 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine is. Fentanyl is. Now, carfentanil, which is made actually to be used on animals, and I mean big ass animals like elephants. Fentanyl is 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. Carfentanil is 10,000 times stronger. So if you can imagine what it would do to a human being. A lethal dose of fentanyl is 3 milligrams. A lethal dose of carfentanil is a grain of salt. It's fucking strong, y'all. So when I beg you and beg you and beg you on my Instagram stories, when you see me on here, when you read something that I wrote, whatever it is, when I beg you, when I tell you, please, 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 if you're in active addiction, please test your supplies. This is why. Because it will kill you. It will kill you before you even realize what is going on. And if someone is not near you, is not with you, does not carry Narcan with them, does not know how to use Narcan, you will be gone. And what will the world do without you? What will your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother or your best friend? And I know that right now you might be sitting there thinking that the world doesn't care, but we fucking do. We want you here. For 14 years of my life, I thought that the world would not fucking care if I was not here. And there are so many things in my life that are going on right now that when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, holy shit, I cannot believe that I'm alive. Thank God that I'm alive. And I know that every person in recovery says this, but if I can do it, you can do it. I believe in you. You're not alone. I'm here. I believe in you. When you are ready, if you want help, reach out to me. I believe in you. You are not alone. The third thing that I want you to know about fentanyl is that these drug dealers out here can make it into anything. They can make it look like whatever they want. They can use an eyedropper and make it look like candy. They can make it into a nasal spray. They can put it in eyedroppers. So that was a new thing that I had never even heard about, and I actually read it. I'll link the article below. They can buy pill presses, and they can make it look like an Oxycontin, a Loratab, a Percocet, a Vicodin, a Xanax. They can make it look like anything, y'all. They can put it in your heroin, your meth, your crack, your coke. They can put it literally in anything. And if you are dealing, if you're out there buying drugs, you're on the street, you're buying drugs, and you have a low-level street dealer, and he is buying it, you know how this works. It's a hierarchy. If you are dealing, your dealer is a low-level street dealer, and he buys from somebody that's a little bit higher, you know, it's hard to tell how many layers up that manufacturer is. So your dealer down here may not know. He honestly may not know that there's fentanyl in that product. He may honestly think that what he is selling you is actually a Percocet. He may not know. He may not care. He might know. What I'm just trying to tell you is that they don't know, or they do know, but either way, they can make it look like anything. That's kind of scary if you think of it. And just something that I want you to be aware of. They can make it look like anything. They can make it look like anything. They can put it in anything because you cannot smell it. You can't see it. You can't taste it. The only way that you can tell if fentanyl is in something is if you test your supplies. And a fentanyl test strip, super expensive. Unfortunately, they're not readily available because that's the way the fucking world that we live in works for some reason. They don't like harm reduction supplies, but just for an example, if you have a pill, for an example, you could take just a little bit of it off. Shave just a little bit of it off. You get your test strip, a little bit of water. Mix them, test it. It's literally that easy. You don't even have to give up that much of your drugs. And it'll tell you if it's got fentanyl in it or not. And then you know. Then you can have a plan in your mind of how you're going to use. Safe for you. Just be safe. What else? Since I'm already going on 23 minutes. You know, when I thought about making this video, I was like, it's going to be shorter. Such a lie. Such a lie, Jessica. You lie to yourself. One of the last things that I want you to know about fentanyl is that all opiates attach to the receptors in our brain. And that's one of the things that as addicts we love about them. Because they attach to our opiate receptors. They give us that giddy feeling, you know, that we all love in the beginning. And then we wind up chasing for however long our addiction lasts. And one of the reasons that people become so easily addicted to fentanyl is because it is a very fast-acting opioid. It attaches to those receptors very rapidly. One of the most important, all of them are important. Everything that I've said today is important, I feel like. One of the things that I want you to know before I let you go, Fentanyl very rapidly acts in your body. So if you happen to come across someone that is overdosing, if you're with someone and they are using, you are using, whatever the situation may be, and you find yourself in the situation where you have to reverse an overdose and you know that it is fentanyl, just as a general thing, if you ever have to reverse an overdose, please don't reverse an overdose and then leave that person. Please stay with them a while. Please stay with them, because reversing an overdose is a very traumatic thing. It's not like going through the drive-thru and ordering a milkshake. It's not just something that you do and you check it off for the day and then you're done. Reversing an overdose is a very traumatic thing for you and for me. So if we're sitting there and I start overdosing and you reverse my overdose, thank you, it's very, very traumatic. It's going to be traumatic for me, because when you reverse my overdose, you are going to put me in withdrawals immediately, because Narcan takes those opioid receptors in my brain that have, sorry if I blocked my microphone, that have all those drugs that we think that we love, and they're coated in them. Here comes the Narcan when you reverse my overdose, and it says whap, and it cleans all those receptors off so they're nice and clean. Fentanyl is very strong. Remember how we talked about how strong it was at the beginning of the video? So in most cases, in some cases, let me say that, in some cases, when you reverse an overdose and you administer Narcan, that Narcan works 30 to 45 minutes. And that's why I tell people, stay with that person. Do not leave that person, because what happens is that 30, 45 minute window passes, and with stronger drugs like fentanyl, they can reattach to that opioid receptor. And do you know what happens when that happens? I can go back into another overdose. So if you have left me, because when you reversed my overdose, I came out of it and I was pissed off, because I'm going to tell you, when you reverse someone's overdose and they come out of it and they realize that they're in withdrawal, they're going to be mad. And it's probably going to make you mad, especially if you've never been an addict before. If you learn how to administer Narcan and you've never been through withdrawal before, if you've never suffered through addiction before, if you've never watched your loved one suffer through it, anything like that, if you reverse an overdose and you watch somebody come out of it and they get mad, it's going to piss you off because you don't understand it. Now, let me tell you how it feels from my point of view. I'm going to come out of my overdose. I may or may not realize that I just overdosed and you just Narcaned me. Maybe. It's about a 50-50 chance. What I am going to realize is that I just did a shot and I don't feel a fucking thing, and I'm already going through withdrawal. So if I look over and you're sitting there and you say, man, I just fucking Narcaned you, you just overdosed, I'm going to be like, you wasted my shot. Because that's how our addicted mind works. So, that's a whole nother video. But if you, at this point, you, the one that reversed my overdose and saved my life, thank you. I know it's aggravating. I know at this point you're probably like, you ungrateful fuck. I just saved your life and now you're being a jerk to me. Please, I get that. I get that. Take it from me. Just please hang around. I'm begging you, please just hang around. Because I can almost guarantee that if you reverse an overdose and the person gets mad, that I'm probably not the first person that you've ever pissed off in your life. Probably not going to be the last. And that it's not the first time that you've ever had to deal with somebody be mad at you. So, that being said, please keep that in mind. Please keep it in mind that when you're dealing with somebody that is suffering through a drug addiction, we're sick people. We're hurting people. And there's a lot going on in our lives and in our minds and in our hearts and in our souls that we don't know how to deal with. So just try to keep that in mind. I know it's a lot in a short amount of time. Just try to keep that in mind. But I'm telling you, just keep that person in your line of vision, because 30 minutes is not a very long time. And if you want to call 911 while you're administering your Narcan, that is a personal choice. I know people that do. I know people that do not. That is a personal choice. We can talk about that in another video. All I am asking you to do at this point is keep that person that you just had to administer Narcan to in your line of sight, because fentanyl is such a powerful drug that you can administer Narcan. It has been said before that fentanyl is resistant to Narcan. That is a lie. Fentanyl is just like any other opioid. It is just very, very, very strong. It's very potent. So if you know that someone has just used fentanyl and that they are overdosing, please Narcan them. Please. You may have to administer more doses than what you would if they were overdosing on heroin or prescription medication or any other opiate, but fentanyl is not resistant to Narcan. Please Narcan them. If they are overdosing and you think that you can't, please, yes you can. Yes you can. Please do that. Back to what I was saying. You can if you let them, let me start that over. Don't let them walk away from you. If they do walk away from you, what can happen is 30 minutes can go by, that Narcan can wear off, and the fentanyl can reattach to the opioid receptors in their brain. They can overdose again and they can die. So 30 minutes can go by if you keep them close enough to you and you have Narcan with you that you can use. If they overdose again, unfortunately, you may have to Narcan them again. Because fentanyl is so fucking strong, y'all. It's so strong. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen people reverse an overdose before, have paramedics on the way. The paramedics get there, and by the time they get there, the person that was overdosing, is sitting up and is talking to the people. The paramedics are getting ready to leave because the person refuses medical care, and as the paramedics are getting ready to leave, the person just overdosed again because the Narcan initially had worn off. The initial shots of Narcan had worn off, and he went right back into an overdose. It's fucking scary, y'all. So, even though there are times when you reverse an overdose, the person comes up out of it, they're mad, just use a little grace, that person's going to be mad sometimes. And they're going to seem like they're ungrateful. It's hard to ask you to do this in a way, but that's all I can say is just use a little grace, because we're not in a place at that moment in time where we care enough about the fact that you just saved our lives. We're not. Because to us, if you wouldn't have, you would have ended our struggle. You would have ended our fight. So that's what I mean. Just have a little bit of grace. Because, man, I tell you, if you just have a little, just give them a little bit of grace. It may take them a while, but if that person finds their way to a different future, they will come back. to you sometimes and be like, thank you, you know? And even if they don't, who fucking cares? Like, I don't care. I personally cannot ever walk past someone and be like, oh, it might be fentanyl. Can't do it. I can only reverse overdoses if they're overdosing for these things. That ain't me, Jack. Nope. I can't do it. So I hope that you can't either. If you want to be trained on Narcan, hit me up. Trainings are always free. Shipping is not, like Jen says. Sorry, Jen. So I can train you for free, and you can get Narcan from your pharmacy, from your local health department. If you have a harm reduction center in your local community, you should be able to get Narcan for free from there. You can also get training for free from there. All that good stuff. This is like a 35-minute video, so I'm going to try to wrap it up here. Hopefully, I gave you some information that you didn't know. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below. I can't wait to talk to you guys in the comment section and hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for coming back. Welcome to the family if you're new here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Like this video if you liked it. Share it if you feel like it needs to be shared. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Don't forget to take care of each other. Stay safe. Stay alive. Test your supplies if you're still using. And when you get to that point and you're ready, if you are ready, reach out. You're not alone. And even if you don't want to quit, that's fine too. Just reach out, because like I said, you're not alone. My contact information is always in my description box. I'm super easy to find on YouTube and Instagram, and that's about the only social media that I do. So if there's ever anything that you need from me, or questions that you want to ask, or you just want somebody to talk to, please don't hesitate to hit me up. I'll see you guys in the next one.